And with that, we pivot to our top talker at 5:30. We turn to downtown development and new neighborhood housing and their connection to the cash-strapped Cleveland schools.
Yeah, they're linked through tax breaks developers receive if they build in Cleveland. So these deals have helped produce high-rises at sites such as Playhouse Square, University Circle, in addition to new condos across the city.
That's important. You grow your city and your tax base with these developments, but these tax deals mean there's actually less money going to the Cleveland schools. Mark Naymik joining us now. He, of course, is from Signal Cleveland, and he's here to talk about why the city says it has to offer those breaks to spur development. But does the good outweigh the bad? Mark, good to see you again. You've been reporting on this for a while, and you actually report the numbers. CMSD, we don't want to say they're losing $29 million because it was never money they had in their hand, but it otherwise would be in their hand if these tax breaks weren't offered. What projects are getting these deals?
Yeah, so our government reporter, Nick Costell, who follows this like you follow sports,
all right,
has been on top of this. And he's looking at all the projects. So that is everything from apartments at May Company downtown, you know, the old May Company building. Sure. Tower City even has apartments in there. The 34-story Lumen Tower that sits over Playhouse Square. That is the single biggest tax abated property right now.
Wow. Also
where the mayor lives, though he moved in long after that deal was cut. So anywhere around the city where you're seeing new condos or anything like that, that is getting an abatement.
Okay, so the schools recently had announced that they're cutting costs because they're going to have a $168 million gap that's expected to hit in 2026. Would those tax breaks that they're getting close that gap?
They would go a long way because you are looking at just going back to 2017. That's when the numbers first became available. Between 2017 and 2023, $200 million have not gone to the schools, which would certainly go a long way given what we're facing right now.
So let's talk about how the city officials talk about these breaks, because obviously we talk about they're offered to spur development, which is good, progress, building. But does the good outweigh the bad?
And that is the crux of the debate right now. They're saying we would not be able to build a downtown neighborhood. This is coming from the downtown councilman, Kerry McCormick, who says without those abatements, we wouldn't have all this housing and vibrancy. And the schools in the long run would be deprived of this money because when the tax abatements peel off, and for example, in 2035, the schools will be getting an additional $24 million. The flip side of that is somebody says, come on, developers are treating this like they're just having a coupon. They were going to build anyway, but since I have a coupon, I'll cash it in and get the money. And that is the argument. Now, the evidence that that is partially true is the fact that the city of Cleveland recently changed its tax abatement policy to no longer give 100% abatement to places like Ohio City or Tremont, which are doing well. The market is supporting that kind of development.
What about some of the bigger taxpayer-funded projects, say stadiums? I mean, how does that impact schools?
It has an impact, but let's back up just a bit and talk a little bit about the nonprofits, the hospitals. They don't pay any. Think about the footprint that they leave around the town. So nonprofits, the schools, public universities are not paying. For the stadiums, the current Brown Stadium is tax abated. But the city of Cleveland pays money, about $800,000 a year, to the schools for the land that's still sitting there.
Yeah.
So again, that argument is we could be stuck with parking lots if we don't do this, and eventually the schools get more. Others are saying developers might be taking advantage.
So it seems like in the long-term health, this is good for the schools. Quickly, because we're out of time, the Sherwin-Williams project, I remember that they got a lot of tax breaks.
But a lot of these other developments get different. That's that word we've talked about before, tax increment financing, TIFs. Those come into play. They also get others. But we're talking today about housing abatements.
Great.
So we're anything on houses and high rises.
Right. Mark, great stuff. Great numbers. Thanks for the reporting.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
The explanation,
Mark Naymik,
yeah.